This video will demonstrate how to use the reports functionality in the NutriAdmin and how it can make it much easier to save and create personalized reports for your clients without having to write the same content over and over for different clients. Right, so reports in the NutriAdmin are composed of two different parts. There is client's data and there is templates. So the client's data is data that comes from client record, such as this example client. And this could be questionnaire data or private notes. So private notes is notes you took during a consultation with this client or right after. For example, supplements recommendations, or there can be specific foods to avoid, meal recommendations table, etc. So if you wrote this kind of information during the consultation, NutriAdmin can just use this data to create a report, and you don't have to, this way, rewrite this data that you already have for the client. So if you go to Report, New Report, we choose Example Client, and as you see here, NutriAdmin lets you choose the private note categories you want to include in the report, and you can also include questionnaire categories if you want. So let's include everything, see how it looks like. Generate report. It's going to create this document that has all these different tables already formatted, looking nicely here for you. Meal recommendations table and different information that you entered in the consultation or after. So this way, if you enter this information, you don't have to rewrite it into a separate document. You can print it like it is if you want with this button, download PDF, or you can edit it a bit. So to edit, for example, let's say we want to get rid of something, you just press this X button and it disappears. If you want to rearrange something, you can press these arrows, click the ending position you want for the data, and it just moves it. And if you want to edit it, you just click this button. I'm going to show you the whole table, and you can add here an extra supplement if you want, omega-3, some brand, and some quantity, etc, 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 etc. When you're done editing, you can scroll to the bottom, save changes, and now there is more data in here. So this is the client data. Basically, any data you wrote for your client into the client record, in this My Clients, it can be printed into this report. You don't have to rewrite it again. The second part of the reports in the NutriAdmin is the right side of the screen, templates. So basically a template, let's click create new template. A template is a piece of content that you will use with many different clients over the year, let's say, or over the next months. So imagine that for a certain kind of client, you always recommend them some omega-3, and you have a paragraph of text explaining why it's important, why it's good for your body, and what are some good sources of omega-3. So instead of like writing this piece of content every time that you have a client that needs more omega-3, or instead of flicking through your system, finding documents where you wrote this text and copy-pasting it, and creating a report by copy-pasting from many other different documents, you can basically save it, write it only once, write it very nicely in NutriAdmin. Let's say omega-3, and you can write why it's important, and you can write sources of omega-3, etc. You can format this text, so you don't have to do this formatting many times as well. You can make this larger, and you can make some table in here if you want, and well, you can create different kinds of content. And once you are done editing a template such as this one, omega-3 example, you can create a bunch of templates like this and have a library here on the right hand side of your report. And then when you are creating a report for a client, you can go along and say, okay, this client needs more broccoli, so I'm gonna insert this template I created previously for broccoli. And there we go, it's just copy pasted from Wikipedia. There's a lot of links and a lot of images and stuff and formatting in here. You only do this once, and then you can use it for any client. You could have, for example, I have this other table. You can't save anything as a template, really. This is just a table that says some generic guidelines or of how to eat, and what to avoid. So it's saying like eat organic food, don't eat crisps, etc. You can edit it and say, okay, this client cannot eat beans and lentils, so I'm going to remove it and save. So basically, you create templates with a generic version of what you want to say for this client, and then you edit it and you remove the parts that are specific to this client, rather than having to write the whole thing from scratch. Because perhaps, depending on how you write your reports, perhaps 60 or 70% of the content is either the different data you took from him in the consultation, or reusable content like these templates. What you can achieve basically with this reports functionality is by combining feeding in the data into the report from the client record, plus using templates that can have all formatting, images, etc. Like for example, this one has some images. You can just write it in here, and finally, for the more specific parts, you can just insert text. Let's say here, and say this is a specific paragraph for this client. So if there is something very specific, I'm going to move this because it's blocking the view. Right. So if there's something very specific for the client, you can insert text. And when you're done, you download it as a PDF. Yeah. So overall, basically, this is useful if you want to create a personalized report for a client, but you often find yourself writing similar pieces of content to clients. So let's say, maybe every client is different, obviously, but let's say everybody that needs more omega-3 or everybody that needs more iron or calcium, or they will mostly get the same recommendation for this particular trait. So it makes no sense to, if you have 5 different people and the 5 of them need more omega-3, it doesn't make sense that you give them a different recommendation for omega-3. There's only so many fish in the ocean that are going to be good recommendations for them. So you save the particular advice as a template, and then you use it and you can print it. Finally, here's the final result. It's a PDF. It's going to look exactly the same as in you saw in the screen. Thanks.